Hey everyone, welcome to the Camino Cafe podcast. I am so happy to be here with you. And I first wanted to give a big shout out to Maria Seiko. Maria has been a big supporter of the Camino podcast since the very beginning. She's been on the podcast before, and you probably all know she runs the organization, the company called Spanish for the Camino, and her whole business is about helping pilgrims have a more successful Camino by learning some very simple Spanish and maybe more complex Spanish. But the reason I want to congratulate her is she just wrote her first book, and it was just published, and it's a book all geared to help you learn Spanish for the Camino. So Maria will be back soon to talk about her book. I'm in the process of reading it right now, and I'm sure that I can use it here for my time in Santiago. So I'm super excited for her. So just also wanted to mention, if you like what I'm doing here, please give us reviews on Apple Podcasts. A 5-star rating would be most appreciated. And, a thumbs up on YouTube, subscribe, all the things. When you do that, it just helps the podcast grow, and it helps me stay motivated. It helps the folks that come on the show feel good about their story sharing, which is what this is all about. So I really appreciate all that. Thank you for your support. And I'm so excited tonight to have a special guest with me. I just met her in Santiago back at the end of February. So we're going to catch up. So you're going to hear about some of our conversations. So this is Eirené Archolekas. I almost got it.
Archolekas. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I told her I would struggle with it. So I'm so sorry. I'm so happy to have you back. We met back. We're at Eirené here in Santiago, and you had just finished your walk, I think the day before. Mm-hmm. You had walked the Portuguese route, and we just had a lovely time chatting. We did a Facebook Live, and you shared some things there. And we kind of talked then about that we would catch up once you were home and you'd been home for a while. And, because when pilgrims are coming in, there's a lot to process, and so to do an interview at that point, I kind of want to give people time. And so back and spending this time here at the podcast, I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Lee. It's an honor, and I've been looking forward to it for a long time, because I'm telling you, once you go on Camino, it stays with you. You don't really stop walking. You take it with you. And then I can't wait for my next Camino. As a matter of fact, like the minute I got home, because the Camino experience did me so much good, I signed up to be a member of the American Friends of the Camino.
Okay.
And they have different branches all over the United States. So my local branch tomorrow, we're going on our little caminito to the Hudson Valley, and we're walking for, I think, 3 hours. And a lot of the other people have been on Camino again. So I'm having like a Camino reunion.
I love that.
It goes to show that you have the pleasure of being in Santiago when you embrace all the pilgrims that come there, but Camino can be done anywhere.
That's right.
So
That's right.
It's not so much, well, it's not so much the destination, right? It's the journey that matters. And I think that's why I'm here. I'm talking to you about the journey and how Camino is so therapeutic, because it takes you on a personal, internal and external journey into self.
Yeah, I love that when we were talking about that back in February when you arrived, and we'll dive back into that more. And I just wanted to say how excited I am for you that here you are, and how cool is this that you come and you walk the Camino, you go back home, and now at home, back in the States, in New York, you are now getting ready to expand your Camino family.
Absolutely.
To me, that is one of the greatest gifts of this Camino, is the family that we get out of it, the connections, right? Absolutely. So there's so much to it. So could you share with everyone, in case they didn't catch our Facebook Live, you have a really interesting career. And I just wonder if you just give us like a 30-second kind of, this is what I do in New York. And because I think that will create some context around some of the things we're going to talk about.
Well, I started teaching. I was a professor of English in Europe, and then I actually lived in Barcelona for several years, and mostly teaching, but always writing at the side. So I was always doing freelancing, and I actually did go back and got a master's in journalism. And I was doing work in the Middle East. But since my daughters were born, I came back, and right now, in the last 4 years, I've discovered um, the incredible power that art and the arts have in general for healing the soul. And
Yes.
I had been on a pilgrimage before that changed my life. So I'm a big proponent of uh, caminos and pilgrimages in general. Right now, I'm still working with special education students who are sick, who have cancer, who have psychiatric disorders, who can't come out of their rooms, and I kind of teach them different things, but I also try to deal with their social emotional needs,
Mm-hmm.
and I use the arts through that. I'm also a very active exhibiting encaustic painter and photographer, and I'm also writing books. I think I also got a book deal, and I won't share too much about it, but I'm
About the Camino?
about pilgrimage,
Ah,
about
congratulations.
about how pilgrimage. You remember Eat, Pray, Love?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of like a Christian Camino like pilgrimage story of, kind of getting through your demons through through the pilgrimage of all pilgrimages that I took, which was in Jerusalem.
Yeah, that's what I was going to have you tell everyone where you took that. How long ago did you do the Jerusalem one?
I think that was in 2004, 2005.
Okay.
And then I stayed for a couple more years after that. So I mean that pilgrimage changed my life. So I'm like you go on pilgrimage and then you drop out and you live in the place. So
Yeah.
it's exactly what happened to me. Um, and that it's even called a syndrome. Like it's called the Jerusalem syndrome. Like,
No, I've never heard this before.
oh
What?
yes, people have
Oh, do
such
tell. I want to hear. Do we have a Camino syndrome?
probably you do.
Yeah, okay,
You
tell me about this.
you haven't named it yet. Yes, so um that was such a life-changing, I mean, an incredibly life-changing experience, and I'm not gonna give it away, but it did have to do with a lot of healing. My mother's cancer, my own clinical depression. I mean, it really changed my life. So I
Wow.
went back and I lived there for several years, and that's where I met my husband, and then I got remarried and have a beautiful child, and it's yada yada. But where was I? So right now, what I've been trying to get registered to be an official, uh, following the professional and ethical practices of the International Expressive Arts Therapy Association, where I kind of give expressive arts processes that do just that. And
Excellent.
I think the Camino is on its head, on its feet, a perfect vehicle for healing through expressive arts. And
Yeah.
if you give me some time, I'll tell you all about it.
Yeah, I
Because that's
definitely want
why
to.
I went on the Camino.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I definitely want to talk about that. So, um, couple of different things. I was just going to say for folks that didn't see our Facebook Live, when you brought out your journal and I got to see, yeah, I mean, your journal was beautiful. The drawings in it, it was done in a very artistic way. If I'd have thought about it, I'd had you have it near you, but it was really beautiful. So let's go back to what made you decide to walk the Camino, because you obviously had such an amazing experience in Jerusalem
Oh
a
yeah.
while ago. And now we go 2004 to 2022, you walked. Um, we've all been through quite a bit, have we not, collectively and individually. So was that playing into you walking, or were
Oh,
there other reasons that drove you to walk?
well, I think for me, it when you go through certain life, let's call them crossroads,
Mm,
when you need direction, when you're dealing with a deep-seated issue or like, a demon, a
Mm.
lot of demons. It could be trauma, it could be grief, it could be loss, it could be, or like, I don't know, like there's certain, people, humans need meaning in their lives.
Yeah.
So when I get to those stages, and I've gotten to that stage again, because, I'm older now, and I'm like, you get like a mini midlife crisis more than once in your life.
Right. They shouldn't be called midlife. They're just life crisis. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think the one I had when I was 33 and I was in Jerusalem was like a quarter midlife crisis. So like I've hit another one. So I was hitting another one. And
Yeah.
for me, I know that I wanted to change. I know that like when you're trying to figure out your path.
Yeah.
That's why I went on the Camino, and I had the intention of being quiet, right? Because that's what the Camino does for you. The
Hmm.
pilgrimage is about turning inwards
Yeah.
and listening and being prayerful. And full disclosure, I am a very pious practicing Eastern Orthodox Christian. I mean, I don't just do it because it's good for you. I really do believe that,
Yeah.
if you ask for something and you do the Camino as an ascetic practice,
Hmm.
you're asking like, look what I'm doing. I'm trying to I'm trying to get closer to you so that you can give me the answer. Then the answer appears.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I did it because I had a question. I had these deep-seated longings and searchings, right? And in
Hmm.
order to get the answer, sometimes, no, all the time, you have to get out of your life
Yeah.
and the clutter and the distraction, and even the distraction in your own mind, especially the distractions and the clutter in your own mind, and just walk. And I think the Camino and pilgrimage in general is therapy for the mind, for the body, and the soul.
I agree.
All right. It's obvious for the body, right? Because the physical act of walking, I think you mentioned it during our talk, somehow it syncs the brain waves and like it recalibrates the circadian rhythm. I don't know. You were saying something about how the act of walking kind of does something to the rhythmic processing of the brain.
Absolutely. It's a meditative space that the timing of the speed of our walk
Hmm.
is the speed at which the mind needs to be working for healing.
Look at
Um,
that. Okay.
yeah. And there's something in that, you're having a problem and sometimes you think, I just go take a walk. And then you go take a walk and you come back and suddenly the answer comes to you. And I think that happens in everyday life off pilgrimage. But those are usually smaller things, right? Because we got a lot of noise in our life, and you go for a half hour, an hour walk, whatever. But the power of that, if you just take that and you multiply that by walking 8 hours every day times 30 some days, whew, that's a lot of healing going on, a lot of answers coming, isn't it? So it's the perfect timing. There's some studies out there. If I can find one, I'll throw it in the show notes. But there's studies on that, and it's a very meditative state for us. More than running, I know for some people they feel that happens with running, but the studies support it with walking and this slow walking, this very intentional walking, right?
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
it. It's a walking the Camino is like a walking meditation.
Yes.
And uh the body is part of the healing. A lot of our mental health practices in the West have forgotten the body. And
Yes.
the research is clear. You keep everything in your body. Your gut knows.
Yes.
And the physical act of walking, and for a long, long time, and like to be honest, I didn't do the whole Camino. I only did like 170 kilometers, which is like 5, 6 days. But even that was so physically cathartic because you need to heal in your body. And yes, it is an ascetic struggle. You're forcing yourself to do something that is really physically challenging. And
Right.
sometimes the body is an unwilling participant, but that's when the mind and the spirit kick in and
Yes.
say, okay, let's go, come on. Because most of the time in our society, we let the body kind of rule our lives. Oh, I'm hungry, let me go,
Yeah.
I gotta sit on, I'm tired, let me sit on the couch and do nothing. Um, the body is so important to healing.
Mm.
And I'll never forget it. I met these two Danish, very nice young men on the Camino, and this had been the third time. And one of them, I forget his name, but I did write it up on my blog. Um, he was he studied to be an architect in, I think it was Copenhagen. But after he realized that, his job was mostly behind a desk all 8, 9, 10 hours, he says, I can't live this kind of life. And he quit that career to become a gardener so that he can
Wow.
live with his hands and be in his body. And he's so much happier because of that. And he told me in an interview where I was talking that, yeah, I walk to find God. Like, it's the physical act of walking and it's the biology behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is very biological. And
Yes.
we are not supposed to be sedentary. I
No.
mean, no offense, but the best way to do this interview is to be walking and
Oh,
talking.
I wish we could.
Okay? But
Wouldn't that be brilliant?
that would be, yes, Camino interviews on the Camino. That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
But like our bodies, we're not meant for this kind of life. So it makes sense that we're getting sick physically, emotionally, and mentally because we're not engaging our bodies. So the very fact that you're walking for, and like it seems like an impossible task for some people, but once you start doing it, it's almost like, how the battery of a car gets charged because it's running.
That's right.
It kind of is like that. It auto generates. And then I remember when I had talked to you in the cafe, I felt weird because it's like I'm not walking.
Mm-hmm.
Like I felt the body's a very big part of being healed on the Camino. Okay?
Yes.
So now let's focus on the mind, right? The mind is full of junk.
Isn't
So
it?
absolutely. But when you go on Camino, you don't have time to focus on what happened to, 10 years ago and what he said and what she said. You're focused on each step of this physical journey. And you're thinking, okay, how many hours can I walk before I totally like collapse? Where am I going to go to the bathroom? Does that tree that shrub look okay over there? Or like, um, where am I going to get my water? Like, and just it because it is a mindful practice.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps you from ruminating, right? And you'd think that you'd have more time to ruminate because you're just doing the same thing for 8 hours a day, but you don't. I have to say, I did. Eventually you get to the point where you kind of like, oh yeah, I know how this thing goes. But then it's not like you're ruminating as much as, like, for me it was more like kind of processing the things
That's exactly the word I was going to say.
that was coming up. So it
Yeah.
wasn't like I was ruminating and thinking, oh, my life's been, yeah, why did I do that? I took the wrong road. It's always, for me, it's always the road not taken, right? Why did I do
Right.
this? I should have done that. Why, why, why? But then when you're quiet, it stills your mind, and the things that's supposed to come out percolate. And then you just have to like pay attention to what percolates. And
Yeah.
then that kind of helps you figure things out. Um,
Yeah.
um, and you need like empty space in order for something to come up. So the
Said.
the boredom, the routine of walking
Mm-hmm.
actually helps clear the mind so that the stuff that really needs to come out has the space to come out, and then you deal with it,
Agreed.
right? right?
Yeah, I want to go back and talk about a couple things that you said. So before we lose some of those thoughts.
Mhm.
So one thing you said, I wanted to go back and just kind of say to you, you said, I have to admit, I didn't walk the full thing. And one, I want to say to you, first off, you did walk and you did accomplish something great. And I think I just want to get it out there to everyone that I think whatever Camino walk you take is your walk. And there's no success, no one way to do it. And I just want to give you a pat on the back and a big star and a hug and say you did exactly what you needed, what you
Yeah,
at this moment, what your body, mind, and soul needed. And
right,
so it is a full Camino,
right.
right? Like,
You're
you
right. And I was just on Facebook and I saw an 86-year-old grandmother with her granddaughter, and they're taking it slow because she's 86, but she's doing it. And
exactly.
it's wonderful to see that.
Right. And I think it comes down to Eirené, your intention, right? When I met with you in Santiago, you had such conviction and such intention that the number of days you walked were, mm, how do I say, highly productive. They were,
Yeah.
you were very mindful of what you were doing that whole time. And, from what you've already shared with me, you found a lot of healing and you heard some answers and some things like that. So
Mhm.
um, I think that to me, it's about the intention, right? You can walk 40 days and have no intention and be doing all kinds of other different things, be walking not mindfully at all, and
Yeah.
maybe no transformation. Although I still feel the communal powerful and can still work some magic, but maybe not be as transformative.
Yes.
You can walk 8, 9 days, whatever, but if you have this intention and you're very mindful about it, you can have great transformation there as well. I
Absolutely.
don't know. Am I talking to the same language? Do you agree with
Absolutely.
that?
I'm totally in the same tribe. I mean, um, it is about intention, and that's what makes this Camino so worthwhile.
Yeah.
Um, and just speaking of intention, because I come from a spiritual background, right? So we have the Jesus prayer in
Yes.
Orthodoxy, and it's similar to the Catholic Rosary, and we share the same prayers. But because I wanted to get the answer for what I needed to do with my life, with the path, right? What I should do from this time on.
Yeah.
I made the intention to pray. So as I was walking, I wasn't just walking, I was saying the Jesus prayer. So every
Mm,
step became a prayer. And this is the spirit and the soul part, right? When you connect to, or you, prayer is an intention. You're connecting to something higher than yourself and asking for the way while you're walking away. All
like
right.
walking the way.
Right. So I think that mind, body, and soul, and it just dawned on me that when I was walking pretty much by myself because it was very off season. It was still
Right.
winter.
And you had some weather.
Yes. But I was very lucky though. I had wonderful weather. But I think that's what I needed. I needed to be most of the day by myself.
Mhm.
But you're not alone. Even if you're alone, you're not alone because right behind you, there are people walking. And right behind you, 1,000 years ago, those were other people walking too. So
Mm,
the walk we take on the Camino is the universal human journey. It's the hero journey. And I
yeah.
know a lot of people have talked about this, and I think it's this is what makes meaning in life. You becoming the hero of your own journey.
Yes.
And taking time out of that cluttered and the social stuff, the social personas we put on, the roles as mothers, as CEOs and business people, and the masks we put on, they come off
Yeah.
during the Camino so that we can hear the voice of our authentic selves. And it helps that we're surrounded by this beautiful natural countryside, which is in by itself is so healing. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember waking up to the most magnificent sunsets and the fogs coming out of the hills. And I mean, really, I was brought to tears. Just, I'm a painter, so I,
Yes.
beauty puts me in a sublime mood, and I feel I'm connected to the otherworldliness through the beauty of the world, and that the nature that we walk through in the Camino is also a great part of the therapy kind of container it is. Um, so I have become such an advocate. Uh, I want everyone to go on Camino,
Me too.
whether you're 5 or 105, whether you are Christian or Buddhist or whatever. And I mean, even when I was on the Camino, I met a family that had a dog. And I'm like, dogs can go on Camino? They go, yeah. And he even had a credencial. I'm like, really? All right.
I've never seen a credencial for a puppy.
Yes. I mean,
That's weird.
whatever. It's not something the church supports, but it's the travel agency makes it fun. Um, um, so since I've done the Camino and it's been in me, it's percolated, um, I have had this incredible sense of peace and acceptance, and really, um, I've become less reactive,
Mm.
and more mindful. I think that my mindfulness has really kicked up a few notches since that journey. And I've also realized how it's so it's part of dovetails so much with the work I do as an expressive arts facilitator, because while I was doing the Camino, I was making sure to stop and journal
Mhm.
and draw and kind of do things with my body. And I've actually created a post Camino expressive arts workshop that I hope people will take advantage of. And what we do is we we think about the Camino experience for each of us, and
Mhm.
then I provide the art container as like an accordion book that looks like the credencial, and I give
Mm.
you a series of prompts that help you think through that experience. And of course, you have probably photos and maybe journal insights and things like that. And it just helps you kind of put them together, and you create an art book, an artfully made credencial book on the Camino experience.
Oh, I love this. Is this going to be online?
So how I've designed it, I'm gonna, if you're interested, you get a kit. I send the kit in the mail, and then I give you like a series of prompts through like online whatever tutorial. you
Yes.
you kind of take the time and put it together for yourself, and then in part two, because as an expressive arts facilitator, the sharing, the witnessing of the art, and the processing of what happens during the art is half the battle. So we come together on a Zoom call or what have you, and I facilitate the witnessing portion, and we talk about, because a
Mm.
lot of the things that have happened for me are probably have happened for others. And it's not news that many people walk the Camino to deal with grief,
Yes.
How many people have I seen with, photos of loved ones in those points where people stop to put their little stamps up on the bulletin boards on the through the journey. Um, so I think it's a way to create witness and then community and to relive the experience and by talking to others, because that's another healing aspect, right?
Absolutely. Story sharing. I was thinking about that as you were talking about the expressiveness, and I was thinking of story sharing, how that also plays into the healing. And okay, so this sounds really interesting to me because, I think we all have one photos that we took during our Camino, right? And they're just sitting on our phones or whatever. So in this class, would I have to be artistic in order to benefit from it? Am I going to have to know how to draw? Because I'm not a very artistic person in that way, or at least I don't feel like I have a lot of talent.
People think expressive arts is about, no, it's, how you used to be a kid and used to get some crayons and start scribbling.
Mm-hmm.
That's really expressive arts. We're not doing Picasso art. We're doing just expression, free expression, and I don't make it complicated. It's mostly collage, and most people can put together a decent collage. You
Right.
don't need artistic skills. It's just you need to be present for yourself with what comes up through the creative process, and just follow the steps to come up with this container that will help you reflect on the journey and make you and maybe deepen your insights into self and others.
So
So
creative. I don't think there's anything else out there quite like this.
well, expressive arts tends to be very flexible and can be used with variety, but this is why I like it, because it's not just art. Expressive arts is storytelling, is
Mm.
journaling, is poetry, and
Ah, I
and
was going to ask that.
yes, there's a segment in the workshop where I get people to create a short poem using little prompts, but it
Oh,
works. So you're using the entire gamut of creativity. I know people who use drama. I do a lot of drama. If I started doing this, like leading pilgrimage groups, and I would do it not just for the Camino. I would do it for a lot of other places. I do incorporate a lot of drama therapy, like
mhm,
drama
mhm.
enactment, into the journey, because I think it helps a lot of people. So it's not just art; it's the whole, and music, movement. It's so much. We're such creative people. I mean, human beings are meant to create, and we've lost touch with that creative basis for what makes us happy.
I
You
agree.
are, being creative is itself a mindful act, and this is why it's healing, because it puts you in that reflective state. Okay,
Yeah.
and no judgment, all that. So I mean, I I mean, I didn't realize how much I believed in the therapeutic powers of Camino pilgrimage until after I did this Camino. And I don't think it's by coincidence that everything is falling into place for me now. That
No, I don't either.
I finally got a chance. I'm gonna be forced to publish a book on my personal spiritual pilgrimage that changed my life. I'm creating expressive arts workshops that deal with this, because I think my slogan is, the journey without outside leads to the journey within.
Beautiful.
And I have I'm starting this year finally, post COVID, hooray. um Something expressive arts on my Greek island in
Mm.
Cyclades, and we do goddess journeys, and we do like warrior journeys. I take young men on a hero's journey through Sparta and the Peloponnesus, and we talk about, and we reenact what makes uh a warrior, what makes
Mm.
young men who need that, they don't have rites of passage to kind of, take on that new part of themselves, right? Because we've lost those rituals in our society.
That's what I was going to say. We've lost those rituals. And I think that's why the Camino becomes such a hero's journey, right? It's an accessible journey
Mhm.
for many of us, right? And it's a way to get out of our everyday life and do these hero journeys that our ancestors got to do more regularly. So that's really cool. And I just wanted to say to everyone that's listening to the show or watching the show, I will have a link to her website. So that way you can find out about some of the workshops that she's referring to here and whatnot. I want to go back, Eirené, and talk about, God, you've said so many things I want to have you elaborate on. So I don't know if I'm going to hit all of them, but I'm going to try. Okay. I'm very curious personally about this concept of how I recently read a book about a woman who has been doing a lot of research on grief processing. And one of the scientific things that she has found is the power of beauty and awe in taking us out of grief. And you said something a few moments ago about how you just felt this beauty, this awe. You saw the sunset, the sunrise, the fog. And I'm really curious to hear from you. If you could think of one of those experiences, I would love to hear from you with your artistic mind. What did you see? What did you feel in your body? Back to one of those moments of what does beauty and awe feel like to you?
Oh gosh, I guess when you were talking, I have to say that the moment, the culminating moment of walking into Santiago and seeing that cathedral for the
Mm.
first time is an awe-inspiring uh, experience. I mean, when I went through the central square, it was like 5 o'clock and the sun was going down and
Mm.
it's the golden hour. So I saw the facade of that elaborate building in gold and bright, and I mean, it was like entering heaven. I mean, that was the experience. Like, and there are no words. Sorry, there are no words to express what awe is. Awe is like you have your jaw drop and you're just, it's, you can't, it's like, I don't know, it's like a blanket of, and something that penetrates through every cell of your body, and
Mm.
it just takes you out. It's a transcendental sort of
Yes.
moment. It takes you out of the here and now and kind of puts you in a different realm. So it is very
Deeper level of
otherworldly. It's a very otherworldly experience, this sense of awe. And I think this is why it heals grief, because when you feel the transcendence and you feel, I'm sorry, I'm going to cry.
it.
You feel the presence of God,
Yeah. Mm.
the grief goes away.
Yeah.
That that that's just temporary. That's just the permanent is something glorious and eternal and so luminous and sublime that everything is okay. It makes everything okay. Um, I think, and this is also the sort of the experience I got when was at the I was at the end of my rope. I mean, seriously, I would have been dead. Uh, the clinical depression I had been going through was
Mm.
hell on earth. I understand why people take their lives because you can't live with that sort of pain day in, day out. But when I saw the light from the Holy Sepulchre, it was again that transcendent otherworldly experience where it just shows you that no, it's not just here and now. There's something beyond. And
Something bigger.
and you have to trust that things fall into place. And maybe you don't understand things. You don't understand why things happen and why your loved one, you know, died and why that loss. But the the questions, it's something much greater than you can ever understand. But you
Yeah.
have to just trust it. And it's kind of wrapped up into power and respect and beauty and just and even mystery, because the things we don't understand are very powerful.
Yeah.
And we have to just trust in the things that sometimes are mysterious. We can't explain everything all the time.
Yeah. I agree. And I feel like these moments of awe, I feel like when I'm walking the Camino, I'm taking photos because everything looks so beautiful. You know, every plant, every tree.
Yeah.
And I don't get that same feeling, if I'm just taking an hour walk, in the neighborhood or whatever, or any trail. There's something, maybe it has to do with the walking for numerous hours, walking day after day, being in the energy of the Camino. There's so many things into this. But there are small moments of beauty and small moments of awe. And then, like you said, there's that moment of arriving at the cathedral or, the sunset. How many times, up ahead of me would be this gorgeous sunset, or behind me, seeing, looking back and seeing the sunrise. And in those moments, yes, I don't feel my grief.
Well, I'm just, I'm putting a disclaimer out there again. Here comes my Christian upbringing and my Christian faith. It's not just
Yes.
my faith. I came to it for myself. I mean, this is what the mystics call an act of grace. I mean, there are certain points where it's not just your energy, it's the energy of God that infuses the material world. And you feel that in certain magical moments. And I think that when you have the intention and you're trying to get close to the mysteries of the higher power, then if you're lucky and you have a pure heart and you're sensitive to it, um, you see the acts through grace. You see the whole world in a different light. You see, it's almost like, the apocrypha. You take the veil over your eyes is lifted.
Mm.
And a lot of other spiritual traditions do that. Buddhism is all about taking out.
Yep.
We're not really looking at life the way it's supposed to be. Because so when you lift those and you see with that different light and maybe that energy that comes from God, or I don't know. I mean, the world is a transformed place. And no, a simple sunset is not a simple sunset.
Mm.
It is the portal to an otherworldly dimension.
Yeah. And I find it so interesting because we as humans, we're all so drawn to that. And, our whole life is filled with sunsets and sunrises, right? I mean, every day you wake up, hopefully the sun's coming up. Every day you go to sleep, right? Or every night there's a sunset. Yet I feel we are pulled to these events, right? And there's this sense of beauty and awe. And there's some reason we're all feeling that, right? Like it.
Yes. I think it's what St. Augustine said, that, we are made in the image of God and we are searching for that maker. And
Mm.
when we get, intimations and, of that where we come from, our source, it makes all the difference. And it's the reason why people can go through incredible hardship and not fall into despair. And they see life as a very affirming place. And not that it's easy, it's a struggle, but the struggle and the pain and the suffering makes sense in light of this greater, I don't know, reality.
Right.
Um, and I mean, I think the Camino kind of puts you in touch with that. And I'm sorry, but I think we do have a maker, and we have to search for that. And even if we don't believe it consciously, our souls yearn for it subconsciously. We need to make, we need to have a sense of beauty and higher power and goodness to believe in. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah. What's the point? And I think particularly walking after COVID and these lockdowns and this
Oh,
collective grief we have all suffered through, and some of us have suffered very greatly with the loss of loved ones because of that, um, as well as the grief of us being isolated. We've lost socialization. We've lost so much.
yeah. Mhm.
To me, it feels like the perfect time to be walking. And you came and walked after this, and you are what, a couple of months out from your Camino,
Mhm.
and I can just see in you this, even looking at you now and talking to you now compared to when we met for coffee.
Mhm.
I can see this beautiful processing that has been
Yeah.
occurring, and
Mhm.
this peace about you,
Yeah.
this peace.
It's so much more peaceful. I'm just I don't worry. Like, the questions that I had, they were answered in a very simple way. And I
Really, I don't
knew
want to get.
the answers all along, but like, and I think and I think I blogged about it, and I have on my website, you can see that the answer that Camino gave is that, you don't have to go to different countries and go to the grass that's always greener on the other side. It's what you're doing now, and where you are now, and the people you have around you now, and that's how you transform yourself. That you don't have to, like, ironically, right? The Camino told me it's not the Camino that's going to that changes your life. It's you understanding that by staying still in the place you're at, the place that you're put in, the circumstances you're at right now, that is going to be the way transform yourself. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah, it
like,
makes so much sense. I'm being pulled back to Eat, Pray, Love is one of my favorite books.
uh-huh.
And in that, Liz Gilbert talks about she's in a terrible moment of despair, right? And she's praying to God and begging and asking and all the things we do, the pleading. And she hears this voice, just go to bed, Liz.
Yes. Hmm.
Go to bed. And I'm kind of hearing that from you, this kind of eat, pray, love, Camino moment of where you heard or felt. I don't know, how did this come to you? This, and the message seems simple.
It does. Let me see. Maybe I can find it so I can read a little bit from it.
Oh, I would love
A
that.
while. Um, if I can find it. Um, but this is, yeah. Okay. This is. I'll read something from my journal on that moment. My intention for this Camino has been to find the way. My whole life, I have been a seeker, a restless soul who is never content with the ways things are, always on the lookout for the next big thing or a better job, a better neighborhood, always on the quest to self-improve. While pushing oneself for excellence is not a bad thing in itself, alas, the search can be exhausting. It comes with a cost. I can never be happy anywhere. And as I was walking the Camino, however, I had a flash of insight. As picturesque as the rural villages of Galicia might look, as chic and dapper the Europeans I want to return home. The daily monotony of pushing through one more step, the lightning flash of pain across the midsection, the nagging woodpecker tapping on my right hip bone, what with the thirst and hunger and dread that I might wind up dead at the side of a ravine, the purpose was to find the joy in the struggle. I am fine where I am. My career, a humble one, did not manifest in the wild adventures in my imagination, but and anyway, and I go on, and I'm not going to go on, but like, it gave me the realization was that you don't have to like go on this huge journey to find where your life is. Your life is where you left it. And that's where you got to go back to.
Wow.
And because of that, Lee, I have accepted a lot of the things that I hadn't before, and that I was pushing and pushing against the grain, like, why? I stopped saying why, and I've said, okay, this is how it's turned out, and this is it, and this is what I have to find value in. And the minute you do that, life gets so much easier.
Mm.
You get so much healthier. You get so much more in tune. Just radical acceptance and gratitude for whatever you have. And sure, I'm sure that I'm gonna change the way I probably where I live, because I'm sick of the city, and it's gonna happen. But it doesn't have to be this like, oh my God, this huge dramatic thing. It's just like, it's a simple act of everyday living and everyday acceptance, and then moving. It's like, one step at a time.
Yeah.
And you'll get out of it, and you'll lead. But as long as you walk in the direction of your dreams, and in the direction of what is, it reverberates in your soul, you'll be okay. Because you can't get lost on the Camino, right?
And a little bit.
Oh yeah, you
You
can.
can find your way back.
But you always find your way back. And it's kind of like that simple message the Camino tells us. Like, we think our life is like this live or die thing, but in the end, yeah, go to bed, find the next meal, find your next shower, um, get through this day, and then the next day things will change, and you'll take care of those things, but you're getting where you need to go, more or less, and it's fine. Everything is okay.
I love how you're wording this.
Yeah. So,
like, all of our spiritual leaders have told us messages like that. We've heard it. And as you're talking, I'm thinking to myself, but the Camino helps us to feel it.
Yes.
It clears the noise so we can finally, hopefully, hear that message, the one message that maybe we're individually needing as a collective. But how beautiful. I love the way you're describing it. It's just beautiful.
I think that what you said goes back to like an ancient Greek philosophical idea that we think we know things in the mind, but you can't really understand the truth of something, not logically. It has to go deeper into the seat of your soul. And the Greeks had a word for that. That was called your nous. And it's very hard to translate in English because it doesn't exist as a concept in English. But that nous is that seat of your soul that is the part that finally realizes things, like finally knows things. And it's that center core that isn't beyond the mind. It includes the mind, but it's not just the mind.
Yeah.
It's an experimental, and you can't, it's like, why do I love this guy? I don't know. I have to, I feel it. I can't tell you why I love him. You have to love him too, so that in the seat of your soul that, yeah, you gotta love this guy. It's that part you have to experience in order to know. And that's what the Camino does.
Yeah, absolutely.
It touches the seat of your soul.
Touches the seat of your soul. And hopefully, with that noise quieted down, your mind, your heart, your body, everything in alignment. Exactly. And maybe we can finally hear one of the messages that we're needing to hear.
That's it. That's it. This is why everybody has to go on Camino, especially after COVID. Every single soul should be on Camino.
Yes. I think the world would be peaceful,
Hmm.
peaceful if we could all just walk.
Absolutely.
Wow. This has been even better than I imagined. And I can remember back when we were having coffee and you were trying to decide, you weren't even sure, about going home and what was going to happen next. And
Oh, I told you what happened. I lost my flight because I lost my passport on the Camino.
that's right.
So I couldn't board the plane to New York. So I said, "Oh well, I
You
might as
remember
well."
you saying that? You were like, oh, well. And I'm like, you lost your passport.
So I went to Germany and I waited 3 or 4 days and then I got my passport and I'm like, I'm not going to New York. I'm going because I had to go to a residency in South Africa. So I said I'm just gonna go to Greece, see my family, and then because it's you're saving half of the travel if you go to South Africa from Europe. And then it's from there. And then in South Africa was a wonderful experience, and I worked with the kids in the townships and the local schools, and I with the women there, and I did a wonderful solo exhibit on plants, and it was awesome. It was a wonderful experience there too. So the Camino has just given me so many boons in my life. It's a
Yes.
boons. When you go on this journey, you're gonna be rewarded
Yes.
more than once. Yeah.
And I saw that healing in you right away when you responded because you were telling me about losing your I was like, how are things going? You're like, well, I lost my passport and then I'm doing this. And you were like so calm about it.
Yes, it's fine.
I was
It
like,
all works out.
it was all fine. It all works out.
Exactly.
Yes. Well, we're at our time, so I'm going to close us out. But this was a beautiful discussion, even more than I could have even imagined.
Thank
And
you for allowing me to have this discussion. And I'm glad that you're making this podcast possible because more people need to hear about the wonders of the Camino. Yeah. I
yeah,
wish
I
you all
agree. And
the best.
I find that from a lot of people that have already walked and they get to hear the stories like your story and the things that are shared here, that it helps us all to, for those of us that have had the um, chance to walk, it allows us to kind of relive some of that through the story, and we can go back to our own story, and it just enhances our own Camino.
Right.
And then, of course, my whole hope with this project is that somebody hears something that we talked about today. And my goodness, you dropped so many today. I think you have, I'm going to guess you're going to influence some people to come walk for sure.
Yeah,
And
and if they haven't, I would love to have people sign up for the Post Camino.
I love it. I want to do it. I want to do it.
Then you will see how things can come. It's wonderful to talk about it again and to relive it and connect with other people. So I hope that people take advantage. I'd make it very low cost so that people can take part. And I look forward to more Caminos.
Gosh. Okay, so will there be a link that I can put in the
Yes,
show notes?
yes, I have it, and I've also been advertising on the Camino forums.
Oh, good. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I'm so behind on Facebook. I can't even keep up with it anymore. So when I'm missing things of yours, if you don't see me respond or something, just please tell
I,
me because I can't even keep up. I don't know how anyone can keep up. There's so much information anymore, right? Well, this has been such an honor and a blessing to be able to hear more of your beautiful words, and you've definitely encouraged me to look at the expressive art part of this. I don't consider myself an artist, so I want to express more of that.
Everybody's an artist. That's the problem. People think everyone is an artist.
Yeah.
You have this idea that an artist has to be like, in a museum. No, everybody's an artist. When you were one, do you have any doubt that you weren't an artist?
No.
No. That's the kind of state we're getting back to. With expressive arts, we're all artists. We're
I
just
love
creators. We're made to create and connect through the creativity. That's
that.
it. Simple.
Well, you have encouraged me, and I want to get one of these kits and with my girlfriends here and
Sure.
do one, so for sure. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for coming to the
Thank
Camino
you,
Cafe
Lee.
podcast
It's wonderful
today.
to talk to you. Best of luck.
You too. And everyone that's watching and listening, please, if you're inspired, you like something you heard today, take a moment to comment. We love the comments. We love the connection. We like building our Pilgrim family. And that's what we're doing here when we all kind of chip in on the conversation. And folks, if you haven't watched it, this is very similar to the types of conversations that happen all along the Camino. And what a blessing it is to extend our Camino family. And I want to hear about your walk tomorrow with your New York group.
Sure.
All right, so I'm going to close this out. If you'll just stay on for a moment, we'll say goodbye, Eirené, and but I'll say goodbye to everyone else. When you're in Santiago, reach out, let me know you're here. Maybe we can have a coffee and talk, well, cafe con leche, and we can get to do one of these interviews with you down the road. All right, thanks everyone. I'll try.